Okay, come on, come on. Up, 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 up. Come on. There you go. Come on. All right. Hi. So it's been about 24 hours or so since I got back from Endwar. So that's kind of enough time to kind of regroup and sleep for a couple hours and stuff like that. So, I don't know, I guess, where to start? Where to start on an event like this? I would say Endwar, the whole Endwar experience was I don't know about like life-altering, but it was probably one of the biggest things I've ever done. I would say that, got married, bought a house, that's big stuff. But at least that was all, like, local. But as far as, this is only the second time I'd ever flown. The first time I've flown was just from Boise to Seattle. That was like a 45-minute flight, so I'd never been east of the Idaho border. I have never flown, that far for that long. Never did a transfer. I was flying solo. That was a pretty major thing. Fortunately, I was able to hook up with I guess it's probably easier to just give you guys a run-through of the happenings and then add a little commentary as we go along. I flew from Boise to Oakland. I was fortunate enough to meet up with Brett Bray and Alex, the MTB Wizard, and Jangular, which was super, super, super cool. The weird thing was trying to find those guys in the airport when Brett was not wearing his beret and Alex was not wearing his wizard hat or his robes. So that was interesting. There's 4 of us flying to Columbus, and me, Brett, and Jangular all sat together. Alex wanted to sleep, and so he was okay with sitting in the back. So he sat in the back. I'll post some pictures up where we're doing like a group shot, and then once in a while we'd like hold our phone up and see what Alex was doing. Whether or not he's asleep, and sometimes he'd just kind of give us the wave like, yeah, we're totally not asleep here. But no, it was cool to have a group of people, especially, like I said, this is like the second time flying, first time going solo. And just it was so much easier having people that I didn't know, but yet still people that I was familiar with, who I trusted to go along with, which was really, really cool. Made it a whole lot easier. And knowing that I had a ride when we got to Columbus, I was able to ride with Alex, which was, I didn't know anything about him really. The only thing I knew before all this happened was that he was the wizard from Make Death Battle, and he wore wizard robes and did melee, and he was kind of a weird guy. That's about all I knew. Which figure, okay, well, I'm going to ride with this guy for an hour and a half in a strange place, and it actually turned out really cool. Like, I got to know him pretty well, and I don't know, really cool guy. Like, I really, really enjoyed my time driving, because we did have quite a bit of commuting to do, not only just between the hotel to the event and back, driving to the airport and back and around, all that stuff. But no, super cool guy. We talked about a lot of cool stuff. It was really, really enjoyable, and I think without this opportunity, I would have never really had a reason to talk to him. But man, he's a super sharp guy. But so we get to Columbus, I guess. First day was Foamcon, and man, Foamcon was so cool. Oh, it was so cool. I like Foamcon so much. I've done vendor events before, but I've never actually like done the event itself or the actual booth thing. I've helped set up, and I've kind of run, just kind of helped out. But as far as like, this is my stuff, this is my table, like that, it was such a cool thing. Walking into the Foamcon, we came into the building, and there's a gym, and you walk up, and there's just tables everywhere, and you walk up, and there's a table that has your name on it, and it has your special vendor bandana thing sitting there, and it's just like, that's cool. This is real. This is just so cool. And so, got all the stuff set up. Met so many people. Oh, met so many people at Foamcon. It was ridiculous. A lot more people than I expected. But it was cool to finally meet people that I talked to online, not only other vendors, but also just viewers and stuff like that, people that you kind of come across on YouTube or message me on Facebook. I had a couple people that had messaged me on Facebook and when I had announced that I was going to Foamcon, and were like, hey, I want to show you something, or I want to meet you, or whatever. So to have that follow-up, just really, instead of like going to a place and just meeting people, having the basically people saying, hey, I want to meet you at the event, and then you go to the event and they're like, hey, I'm so-and-so, nice to meet you, I talked to you on Facebook. And it's like, oh wow, it's all kind of full circle. It makes it all feel a lot more real. I brought my GoPro. My original intention was to set up the tripod on the corner of the table and do kind of a time lapse so I can kind of capture meeting people and shaking hands and stuff like that. But there was not enough room. I really, really underestimated the amount of stuff that I had to display. And so, in hindsight, I really wish I'd taken more pictures of people. Like, all you guys that came up and said hi, looked at stuff, had me sign things or whatever, thanks for swinging by. It was just such a cool opportunity to just, I don't know, like I said, just meet people and to put faces to names. There's so many people, because I'm horrible with names. Like, you come up, you say, I'm so-and-so, shake your hands. As soon as you turn around, I'm going to forget your name. That's just, I'm sorry. So, if I, like, didn't call you something or called you the wrong thing, I apologize. But I wish I'd had the forethought, I wish I'd thought to take pictures of people, but I was just... Foamcon was such a... Like, I don't do good... Like, I'm not a social guy. I don't do good in crowds. I don't do good, with strangers. I don't do good, talking to people, like, publicly addressing people. And so to have a whole bunch of people in a strange place, in a strange time, a lot of people all at once, I was just, like... There was times where I was like, oh! Just anxiety and crazy stuff like that. And so I'm glad there was kind of lulls once in a while where you'd have a whole bunch of people come through and then it'd kind of even out for a little bit so I could kind of cool it a little bit. So if I was a little tense, if you came up and I was a little tense, I'm sorry. It wasn't anything personal or whatever. It was just me having a hard time handling the crowds and stuff. So thanks for having patience with me and everything. But yeah, so many people. I wish I'd had. Well, Dennis DV Tests came by and was able to kind of fill in for me a little bit, so I was able to kind of see some of the booths. But man, there's such crowds at some of those booths. Out of Darts, Containment Crew, Ammo Counter, even Clowny, Greenhouse Gear. I wasn't able to get into those booths until it was almost closing time, and people were starting to shut down, just because there's so many people, which is good. It was just kind of frustrating as a vendor because it's like, well, I want to see that stuff too. These are the people I wanted to see as well. But I guess it's more important that the actual spectators and attendees got to see everything. Yeah, I was able to get in when everybody was shutting down and pick up some of the stuff I wanted to pick up. So much of the stuff was sold out, and there are so many more people than I ever would have expected, which is so cool. I really, really wish that it would have been a 2-day event, or maybe had longer hours, or at least had a couple hours on Saturday or something, because there was just so much I wanted to see and so many people I wanted to meet. Some people I only had time to just wave to in passing, or kind of nod to or whatever. Just so much stuff. But that was just such a cool event, just such a cool opportunity, and I'm thank you to everybody who came by and picked stuff up and looked at things, and it was cool to see it. And I met there. I got to tell a story. There was a couple little guys came in, little guys who came in with their moms and was looking at stuff, and it was cool to see the excitement in their eyes, and they were viewers of the channel and or at least my stuff. They were familiar with my work, and this one little guy, he was like 8. He must have been like 8 or 9, and it was so cool. But he came up and he's analyzing things, and as far as aesthetics, and he was talking about the Centeride, which I had on the table, and he says, I had an idea. The Centurion shell itself is pretty flat and has a lot of wide areas on it, and it's kind of long. But then you get to the back, and the stock is kind of lumpy and has a lot of distracting details and stuff. And I was like, "Whoa, this dude's really analyzing stuff. This is kind of cool." And he says, what you ought to do is take a long shot stock because it's got the same kind of very broad panels and a little bit smoother and a little bit boxier, and cut the Centurion actual stock pad off and fit that on the back and blend it in. And the whole time I'm looking at this kid going, "Shoot, that's actually a good idea." And it was just so cool to see the gears turning in his head and to see the vision, not just like, this would be cool to stick on this thing, but just somebody actually analyzing things so much as far as as matching the aesthetics between different shells and stuff. And that I haven't had a chance to actually check that, but like in my head, if those shells actually do work, there's potential there. That is an interesting combination, and I hope I told the kid that was a good idea, but I was so blown away and so like crazy nervous and stuff about everything. So yeah, if you're watching, leave a comment down below and say that was you, because so I'll wave at you here. But no, that was just such a cool idea, and just like I said, to watch the gears turn in somebody else's head regarding the same kind of work that I do was really cool. And there was another little guy who came by, probably within like 10 minutes of this first guy. I think he's probably 10 or so. He's still just a little guy, but he came through and he's kind of pulling his mom along, and he's like, "Hey, see, this is what I mean. This is made out of pieces of 4 or 5 X number of different blasters. This is one of these. This is one of these. This is one of these." And the mom is looking, and she's kind of mind blown, and she's like, "So this is what you meant when you wanted to cut such and such in half and do something with it." And he's like, "Yeah, that's right." And she's like, "Oh, okay, so you weren't crazy." And I told her, I was like, that's my wife did the same thing when I started cutting stuff up. But once you start putting things together and getting those shapes and creating something new, then it all makes sense. And you could there again, you could see the wheels turning in Mom's head, where she was kind of like, "Okay, this could be a cool thing. This is okay. I see what's going on now. Seeing the big picture, so to speak." And so to see those seeds planted in such small brains really makes me feel good about the future of the hobby. Where kits, cosmetic kits, performance kits are getting to the point where everything is so drop-in anymore. It's cool to see interest from the youngest of the crowd, the youngest of our community members, who still want to do that hands-on, the tough stuff, the stuff you can't just buy in a box, the stuff you actually have to cut, the stuff you actually have to figure out on your own. It was just really cool. It made me feel so good. It was just such a cool moment. Not only that, but just getting to see some of the foreigners, or the Monkeytron people from Scotland came through. That was cool. That was cool to see those guys. That was really nice. So many people I wanted to meet, though, that I just didn't have a chance to. So if I didn't see it and you wanted to see me, I apologize. I was not only just so stressed and freaked out, but man, there's just no time. I had no idea that that convention was going to go, or be that busy. But then after that, we shut that down, and that pretty much made it for the day. I think we went out to dinner after that. We had the safety meeting for the actual war itself, going over all the dumb stuff, like don't do dumb things and hurt yourself, because that makes it a hassle for everybody else. Went to dinner. Next morning, geared up for the actual Endwar, which is just so cool to see so many. I don't know, just see so many people of a common interest, because at Foamcon everybody's kind of moving around and stuff like that, and it was busy. But when you see everybody all armed with their gear on, mags loaded, blasters strapped everywhere, everybody's set for business. That is just such a cool moment, because there's really not a modding community out here. There's getting to be a couple of us that we're trying to meet together once in a while, but like just a handful of guys at best. So to see nerfers coming out in mass to do what we do best, and just fling some foam, was just such a cool thing to be a part of, to be in the middle of. There again, especially since I'm not an active player as much, because there's not much out here. It was just cool to see firsthand that stuff in action. But I actually ran with what they called the rescue squad, which was Michelle from Foam Blast, and a bunch of other, probably what, a dozen of us or so, who kind of ran our own thing, just and made ourselves available in case of anybody got separated from a group or whatever. But it was cool to run with those guys because we stayed kind of out of the fray for to a great extent. But it was cool just to, I don't know, it was cool just to be a part of a team, part of a group. You're kind of communicating with people, getting used to how people act and how people think and stuff like that. It's just really cool. Just a really cool thing. I actually personally only ended up running the first two missions, just mission 1 and 2, and then after that my back had it, and I was in pretty bad shape, so I just kind of shut things down because I wasn't going to make it the rest of the week, and didn't want to end up causing any lasting damage. I screwed up my back a couple months ago at work, and it was coming back to haunt me a little bit. But no, it's just such a cool thing to be in the middle of. But I think my favorite part was just getting to meet people outside of the actual war itself. After the missions were over, going out to dinner, meeting up with people. There again, so many people I needed to touch bases with that I just didn't have a chance. There's just not enough hours in the day. But the people I did get to associate with, the people I did get to hang out with, go to dinner with, and it reminded me of why I love this community so much. We have such good people in our community. I had a chance to meet Bobololo, who is a weird guy. I'll be the first to admit it. Who I hoped would be in person, who he appeared to be online. I had high hopes. I have a bad record for getting to know people and then finding out that they're not what they were originally perceived as, or you meet somebody, you want to get to know them better, but then you find out that they're actually a jerk. And I just don't have time for that. I don't have time for jerks. I don't know. It's not worth it to me. And so I was really, really nervous coming to Endwar this year because of all these people who I've forged friendships with online, and then the prospect of meeting them in person. Really, I was nervous. I was nervous not just because it's like I'm meeting celebrities, but would that perception that I had of those people be broken? And it was such a good feeling to find out that everybody that I associated with was who I expected them to be. And I don't know, it was just so cool to see, like I said, Dr. Bobololo, who turned out to be just a super cool guy. Like I really enjoyed the little time I spent with him, just because he's like a genuinely enjoyable person to be around, which I'm not. It's not a common thing for me. Like, I'm not a social guy. I don't need people around. But there's certain people that I do enjoy being around, and that in itself is uncommon. But to have that many people that fit those criteria, I guess, is very, very unusual. And it felt like going to a family reunion if all the people you actually liked. Like, I've never liked family reunion. I've never had really strong ties to extended family. But here, it's like you're meeting everybody who are my family. I mean, that's how I perceive them, because I don't have that extended family connection, aunts and uncles and grandparents and stuff like that. I kind of transferred that kind of relationship and those emotions to members of this community, and it was just such a good opportunity, or such a good meeting people for the first time, but yet still feeling like they're familiar, like you do know them, to where you don't feel that you don't have to introduce yourselves, you don't have to learn things about them as much. You can just roll right into talking to them and just hang out, and everything's super cool. It's like you've been friends for years. It was just such a just such a cool series of emotions, I guess. Just having those guarded expectations, and yet having them fulfilled. Finding out and realizing that the people of this community really are as good as I was hoping. And I don't know, I had some just really, really amazing conversations. Just not only just about Nerf, but just conversations in general, and just decently heart to heart type stuff that I wouldn't have had the opportunity to discuss otherwise. But just we have such good people in our hobby, like not just wildly talented people, not just people that are fun to be around, but just good people. And I've said it before, and it's kind of silly, but this community has been such a blessing to me in my life in so many ways. And the community is just full of people who make me want to be better, who I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's a unique emotion for me that I'm still getting used to. But to be around people that I want to be around, people who I genuinely love as people, not just because they're talented, but because of who they are. It's just such a. I really needed that. I really needed what I got at Endwar and at Foamcon, just the whole event. Not just the event itself, but everything that the event brought was just. It was good. It was good for me as a person to have those moments this last weekend. And like I said, there's a lot of people I wanted to hang out with, and some that I did, some that I didn't have a chance to. Those of you who I did hang out with, and you know who you are, I love you guys, and I really thank you for the way I was treated, for feeling like I belonged in that group. It's just a very unfamiliar emotion, but it was one that I just really appreciated that. I also had the opportunity. Was it an opportunity? I'm not sure what it was, but Michelle of Foam Blast had approached me before, like several months ago, with interest towards the Hellhound, and we'd kind of discussed some things, and I wasn't quite ready to part with it. We had several good discussions through, during Foamcon and afterwards, and the Hellhound now resides at Foam Blast headquarters. We met to an agreement where everybody's very happy, and so when I was kind of passing the blaster over, I got to see, there's several other community members around, not for the actual transaction itself, but at least passing the blaster over. And it was emotional. It was an emotional thing. The silly as it sounds, the Hellhound was a very emotional blaster for me. It was the one blaster that I guess got me noticed. It was the one that, I don't know, I had a lot of heart invested into it, and it was hard to let go. But going into the hands of somebody who I trusted with, it made it. It made it. I was mentally and emotionally prepared to pass that off, but to see it go somewhere, like I said, there's some emotions going around everywhere. I mean, I was emotional. She was emotional. It was a wreck, but it was great. But to see it get passed around to people made me realize why I do what I do. I don't know. Like when I build something, I have an image in my head of something that I want to create. Well, once I've created that, I am fulfilled. I have fulfilled my desire of, I want to create this thing. I want to see this thing come to fruition. I want to see this thing in the flesh, so to speak. After that, I'm fulfilled. I'm okay with that. The Hellhound was sitting in a laundry basket for the last several months, but to see it come out and get passed around, and to see people play with it, to turn the lights on and off, to fire it, to just shoulder it and feel it, and it just brought so many smiles, and just people laughing and joking around and passing it around. I don't know, I liked that because I was done with it. It wasn't really benefiting anybody, but to where it's going someplace where it's going to be passed around, it's going to be seen, it's going to be used, it's going to be bringing joy to other people now, and that makes me happy. It goes back to this weird, silly hobby that we have. What is it about Nerf that just makes people so happy? I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's some special thing. I have to go back to the Nerf is magical bit from the YI Nerf video. I think I threw that out there. But it really is. There's something about what we do in this hobby that just has such potential to bring so much happiness. Whether it is in just creating something cool that makes people happy, or playing a game that for whatever reason is a lot more fun than it actually should be on paper. It's just this whole experience reinforced to me why I do what I do in this hobby, and why I do it with the people of this hobby. And I just, like I said, I love this hobby. I love the people in it. And I hope you all know how much I appreciate what you guys do. Whether you're people that just watch my videos, or people who critique my videos, or throw out ideas, or people who help me personally. It's just such a good thing. Just such a good thing. And this whole weekend, I reinforced a lot of friendships that I hadn't expected. Met people and really clicked with people who I didn't expect. It was just a really great weekend. So if you didn't have the opportunity to go this year, I'd recommend you go next year. I didn't think I would be able to do it, but I had several people help me, and the wife and I discussed things, and we were able to tighten some belts and make it happen, and it's just a good, wonderful thing. But I realize this wasn't a super exciting video necessarily. I wasn't really involved in that much of the gameplay, actually, but I'm okay with that because I got enough of the HVC experience to give me a taste for it. But my main goal with this whole trip was just to connect personally with the people that I've been connecting with online, and to just have that seamless transition with people was just really good. So hopefully you, if you weren't able to make it, you got your fix of gameplay and stuff from other people, because I actually didn't take any. I took some pictures, and I'll post some other pictures, just of stuff that I did or was involved with, at the end of this video, just kind of a quick recap or whatever. But it wasn't actually like a Nerf trip for me. It was more of an emotional trip, and so hopefully I was able to convey that, because I don't know, it was a very emotional weekend for me. But that was good. So I really appreciate you guys watching, and if there are things that I'm doing that you don't like, let me know, and if there's things that I'm not doing that you would like, let me know. I've started a Patreon by several good suggestions and a bit of demand. I have started a Patreon. It's patreon.com/Mr. Nathan. I'll put a link in the description. I'm not going to ask for money or plug it a whole lot. It'll be available for those who want to contribute. I'm not going to push it or anything. That's just for people who want to. They may, and there's an opportunity for you there. That being said, if you do contribute to my Patreon, that money, just like the YouTube money, whatever little I get, that's sacred to me. That is you guys investing not only with your time, but now with your assets. And that's something I take very personally, very seriously, that you're trusting me with your contributions, and I'm going to make sure I'm able to put that back into the channel, into content that is interesting or beneficial, whether to replace tools or gain materials, or even, I don't know how much I'm going to be able to get, but being able to pick up newer blasters, some of the more newer releases, and start cutting up those and playing with them, and experimenting with new things, maybe being a little more daring on some stuff. Since I don't have a super tight or super big budget for Nerf stuff as it is, so like I said, I'm not going to push it or plug it too often. I will make announcements for it, just for people to be aware, but it is there if you want to. And I don't have any right now. I don't have any tiers or anything. It's just right there. If things develop and there's a lot of people who want to have different tiers and reward things, I don't know. We'll play it by ear. But right now, it's just like, if you want to, there it is, and you can do with it what you want. So, thanks very much, everybody, and hope to have some cool stuff for you. There's some really, really cool stuff on the horizon, and I know I say that a lot, but this time it's real. I have 3 blasters getting painted right now, and those will be coming back next couple of weeks anyway, and so there'll be some rather large large developments coming really soon that I'm very, very excited to share. So, until next time, wishing blue skies and green lights to you and yours, and may all your troubles be teeny weeny ones.